there. Tonight I'm going to make pecorino and leek risotto with asparagus. Sounds good, doesn't it? This comes from the Washington Post. Okay, first what we're going to need is some broth, and this is what I'm going to use. You know, my Chinese vegetarian chicken flavored broth. And I'm going to need some olive oil, and I have decided I'm going to use Tuscan herb. Yummy. Give it a nice Tuscan flavor. Okay, next I'm going to need some butter. You know what that looks like. I'm going to need, it says half of a large leek or 1 cup. So here's my leek. It's not a huge leek. I just need a cup of it. So we'll see how that goes. Okay, and then Arborio rice, and I still have not been able to find Arborio, so sticky rice. Gotta substitute sometimes. Okay, and then I need some dry white wine, and I have this Chardonnay here. Gonna use this. 3/4 of a cup. What am I gonna do with the rest of that bottle? Okay, I need some kosher salt, and I have my kosher salt in a little container. And then I'm gonna need some Pecorino-Romano cheese, and thank you Trader Joe's for having it. There we go, Pecorino-Romano. And some pepper, freshly ground preferably. Oh, I'm gonna need some flat leaf or Italian parsley. It's a good thing that that lasts pretty well because I keep using that. Okay, and then for the asparagus, it calls for 8 ounces of thin asparagus. I don't know how many ounces this is, but by the time I get through with, you know, cleaning it up and breaking off the bottoms, I don't know how much I'll have, but I have to have at least 8 ounces. And then some lemon wedges for serving. Got one from my tree. And that's it. So let's get started. We're going to start off with kind of a largish saucepan. Doesn't have to be huge, maybe medium. This is the largest one of this kind that I have. So you're supposed to put in 2 cups of broth and 2 cups of water. And for me, that means 4 cups of water. So I'm going to put that in here. And then I'm going to put a couple teaspoons full of this powder. So that'll be like 2 cups of broth and 2 cups of water. So there's 1, 2. Okay, and now I'm going to put this over here. Actually, I'm going to put it in the back. Need to stir it, and then I'm going to turn that on to a medium heat and just let it heat up. Medium heat. Now, I'm going to switch over to the asparagus, and I'm going to start off by heating up the oven to 425. Okay, I'm going to wash the asparagus, and I'll be right back. As you can see, I have lined a sheet pan that has a little lip. I've lined it with parchment paper, and these are just my little stones to hold it down until I get something on there. And here's our asparagus. I've washed it and kind of dried it. Well, make sure it's dried, you know, fairly well. And then what we have to do is, I showed you this in one other video, but I'm not sure if you've seen it. So what we're going to do with the asparagus is we're going to grab the end here and just bend it until it breaks. And that's the part you throw away. this part is tender. So we're going to put it over here on the parchment paper. So I'm just going to do that with all of them. It knows where to break off. Sometimes it breaks off really close to the end. Sometimes it's almost halfway. But those ends are too tough to eat. It's kind of fun, actually. I try to do it so I take as little as possible off. So I'm going to finish this, and then I'm going to weigh it and just see how much I have. I'm supposed to have 8 ounces. Okay, there we have it. I weighed it, and it's 9.45 ounces. So that's just a little bit extra, and I'm fine with that. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to drizzle a little bit of this oil on it. A little oil. And then I'm going to sprinkle it with a little salt and pepper. Here's my pepper. And a little bit of salt. Okay, and then I'm just going to mush it around till all of them have all of those things on them. Okay, and then I'm going to spread it out, single layer, and I'm going to pop it in the oven for about 12 to 15 minutes as soon as the oven is hot enough. There. Ta-da! Let's get this leek ready to go. I'm going to cut off the end. Of course, I already washed it. And I'm going to cut off this green part. That's too tough. And that might be too much too. So I need to chop it. Let's do it this way so you can see what I'm doing. Going to cut it in half. It's got to be chopped. And then I'm just going to do it like this. Cut each by about 1/3. And then, here we go. All right, I have a feeling that's about it. Yep. So after a while, after you've been cooking as long as I have, you get to where you can judge amounts pretty well. How about that? A cup. I'll just throw this out. And as you heard, the oven is hot, so I'm going to put the asparagus in. Let's go do that. Okay. Oh. I still have that top rack up so I can broil, because I was broiling last night. So let me give it 12 minutes. You want to cook those until they're fork tender. So we jab it with a fork and, you know, it's done. And then we're going to let it cool in the pan, not in the oven though. Duh. Okay, I got my Dutch oven here. And I'm going to put in a tablespoon of butter. I'm going to have to estimate, maybe a little bit more, not much. And about a tablespoon of oil, Tuscan herb olive oil. So About a tablespoon. I don't usually use this spout, but I really like it. I mean, it takes forever to get a tablespoon, but drizzling was great with this thing. Problem is, my cabinet is doesn't have enough room for the bottle and this thing on the end. Oh well. So let's put it on medium, melt the butter. That's gonna make it melt faster. You know, I've been thinking, I should probably do a tape about, you know, using the lid, not using the lid, using different knives and what they're for. Maybe I'll do something. I'll have to script it though. Okay, heat that up, and while it's heating, I'm gonna run and grab those leeks that I just cut. That is what we're gonna cook first. Actually, and then I'm gonna need some rice. Now that I'm thinking about it, I'm gonna need a cup of rice. Oh, here's one thing. So, I don't know if you have a rice cooker, but if you do, then you have one of these because it comes with the rice cooker. And when you're making rice, you think this is a cup, but I don't think it's exactly a cup. Let's do an experiment while I'm waiting. Okay. So, here's my cup. Oh. Well, here's my measuring cup. I'm gonna have to get rid of these first. Let's see if I can. Nope. Okay, here's my cup of rice using my rice cooker cup. And let's see. Yeah, I knew it. It's not a cup. So, if you're cooking rice in your rice cooker and you're not following a recipe, you can use this cup because, you know, you don't have to get exactly the right amount of rice. But if you're using some other kind of recipe and it calls for a cup of rice, you better use this kind. Here's a little tip. So I'm gonna fill this up because I do need a cup of rice. That is a cup of rice. And that is melted butter. So, first, before the rice, I'm gonna put in the leek. I'm gonna cook the leek. I'm on medium heat. Okay. And, oops, there's some stuck. And I'm gonna put on the lid. Okay, we're gonna cook these for 2 minutes. We've got a minute and a half to go. And then we're gonna put in the rice, and then I'm gonna need some white wine. And so I may as well get that ready to go. I need to measure it, because when it's time, you know, I don't really have time to measure some wine. So let's come over here. I think I'm really lucky. This is a screw cap. So you don't have to have expensive wine. You can have that kind. It still smells good. So I need 3/4 of a cup. Let me get that ready. And then you want to put this into the refrigerator because it's white wine. And white wine is generally served chilled. So I'll do that and I'll be right back. All right, this has been cooking for 2 minutes and it does look like it's soft. So I'm gonna put in the rice and I'm gonna cook that for about 2 minutes also. So, you know, Don't have to stir it constantly. Rest up because you'll be stirring like crazy in a minute. Okay, I got the rice going. And I just checked the asparagus. And that timer's gonna go off in about 40 seconds. And the one for this is gonna go off, well, in about 5 seconds. There you go. Very important to keep up with which timer is for which thing. I mistakenly turned off the oven timer, so that's why I checked the asparagus. Anyway, let's put this wine in here. And we're going to be stirring until it has been absorbed. Oh, and there's the asparagus. So I'm going to take that out of the oven right now. And just set it aside. And turn off the oven. Okay. Now, we're getting ready to rock and roll. So if you have something like this, this holds probably about 3/4 of a cup, maybe a cup, a ladle. You're gonna need this. So we're gonna just cook this, and we're not putting the lid on anymore. Not right away. It looks like I have a second here, so, oh yeah. I'm gonna eventually need this open, so I'm just gonna open it, because that's just gonna take a few seconds, hopefully. I can find the place that's open. Of course not. So from here on out, you don't want to walk away from this. I stopped for a second. Okay, notice that the rice is hydrating with the wine. Okay, now it's starting to get almost dry looking. So the water has been almost entirely absorbed. So what we're going to do, I've got this broth over here on medium temperature. It's a little simmering a little bit. You have to have it hot. So here we go. This is how we make risotto. I'm going to put a ladle full in there. Keep the lid on the broth and water because you don't want it to evaporate in the broth pot. So here we go. And that's what we're going to do. We're going to put in a ladle full, stir it. If you get tired and you need to take a break, you can stop for a few seconds. You know, tired, but don't stop for long. Recipes always say, stir continuously. But after about 20 minutes, you get tired. And it will take about 20 minutes, sometimes even longer. Okay, I'm just gonna keep doing this. But you don't have to watch all this. Just noticed that I need to put in a half teaspoon of salt, so I may as well go ahead and do that now. And I'm almost ready to put in another ladleful of broth. And I'm going to go ahead and do that. Okay. As you can see, it's pretty creamy. There's still some moisture, some water, some broth that needs to cook in. And I need to get this this parsley chopped. So I'm just gonna move over here and quickly chop it. This is just for garnish. So, you know, you don't have a set amount. Okay. Can't stay away from the risotto for long. Phew. That was almost too long. So it says that after you've cooked this for about 12 minutes, taste it and see if it's chewy. It should be creamy with a little bit of a bite when you chew it. A little chewy center. But I think I'm going to do one more ladle of broth before I test it. While I was cooking that batch, I went ahead and got my 3/4 of a cup of the cheese ready. And I'm going to taste it now and see if I've got the right consistency. It's pretty hot. It's really delicious, and it's really not ready. So, I'm gonna do another scoop of broth. There's a little bit left in the pan. So I decided it wasn't ready because I had the slightest crunch, and I don't want crunch in my risotto. I want chewy. I want it to be creamy on the outside and just a little chewy in the center of the rice grains. No crunch. So, I'll just do this. Oh, but the flavor is so good. So, you might wonder, what am I going to serve with this? Well, I don't eat a whole lot. Marty isn't a huge eater. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to ask him to make some of his famous cheese toast. We happen to have some sourdough. Oh, I got to stir. We have some sourdough bread over there that makes really delicious cheese toast. And when I say cheese toast, I'm talking about garlic cheese toast. So he'll take a piece of bread, butter it, heat up the toaster oven, or oven, you know, if you're going to use the oven. And then he'll put on some cheese, whatever kind of cheese, and a little garlic powder, and toast it. It's delicious, and it'll go great with this. And since we've got asparagus, you know, we've got our vegetables covered, because we've got leeks in here, and we've got asparagus that's going to be served with it. You got your vegetables, and you have some protein, not a huge amount of protein, but you do have cheese and you have rice. And okay, here's the deal with being a vegetarian and getting enough protein. First of all, most Americans eat too much protein. You don't need all that. Second of all, you need to know how to combine your proteins. You know how a protein is made up of amino acids? Well, you want to get all the different amino acids. If you eat meat, then you're getting all those amino acids. If you're eating plant-based foods, different plants have different amino acids, and you need to combine the ones so that you get a whole protein. And that's why we often eat beans and rice. They complement each other. It's called complementary proteins. There are some other combinations, but I gotta keep stirring. I'm not worried about getting enough protein in this meal. It'll be fine for us. Because you also, you know, have all day to get your protein for the day. All right, I'm gonna try this again. And see if it's ready yet. Let's get a few grains. Okay, that's perfect. So now I'm gonna put in the rest of the broth. Oh, it cooked out. All right. I don't really need it anyway. Cheese, pepper, and turn it to low. Stir that in. Okay. And there you go. Okay, let's serve it up. Come over here. And we're going to put some of this asparagus on the top. Yeah. And I'm going to put some little spritz of lemon juice on it. Just a little bit. A little bit of the parsley. And a little bit of cheese. Doesn't that look delicious? It will be.